Alright, so very soon on Global Dokkan, we are going to be getting the free-to-play LR HATCHIYACK. So in today's video, of course, we are going to be doing our showcase on him. Now, it's really crazy to think we're just now getting him in August of 2023, when this guy came out on JP in November of 2022. So this guy's almost a year old, and we're just now finally getting him on Global, which is really crazy to think about. I mean, dude, JP and Global just need to be synced up, right? It is what it is. I know some people like the Global Foresight, but dude, this guy's been out on JP for a long-ass time, and we're just finally now getting him on Global. But I guess it's still a good thing. He's a very good unit, considering he's free. He's on some really weak teams, and again, like I mentioned, considering he's a free-to-play LR, he definitely is going to put in some work. I mean, when I say he's on weak teams, look at this. He's got Revenge, Giant Form, Crossover, Artificial Life Forms. He's not on any good teams, so I mean, that's not really a good thing either, but you know, again, the fact that he's helping these really weak teams and he's accessible to literally everybody, he's a free LR, again, is definitely a good thing. So before we get into the video, if you find yourself enjoying it at any point, feel free to like and subscribe. Also, keep in mind there are timestamps in the video, so if you want to skip around to any part, then absolutely feel free to do that. And yeah, let's get right into it. So on this opening rotation right here, we are going to have 4 out of 7 links. He's got a good link set. I guess he's got good links, but his link set isn't like crazy. Like stuff like Transform, Hatred of the Sands, you know, Berserker are all very bad links. But he does also have stuff like Big Bad Bosses, Tough as Nails, you know, Legendary Power, which between Big Bad Bosses and Tough as Nails, he's getting a lot of defense through his links. So that definitely is a very good thing. We're here at 242k defense, so we've got a very good opening rotation. We got a lot of support with the 50% support cell. Again, we also have, you know, some of our main links active. So this is a really good rotation. And 242k defense, I guess that's pretty good because there's a couple other things you have to keep in mind with this guy. So he does get 30% attack and defense on his 18 key super attack, and he also gets 30% defense on his 12 key super attack. So then obviously after you super, you know, you're going to get a good amount of defense from that. So then after we get our super attack, which, yeah, we're starting off at an 18 key super, what we're going to be at a little over 300k defense. And then we do also get 100% attack and defense after we receive an attack. So then after the 100% from receiving an attack, and then the 30% that we get when performing a super, because, you know, on our super attack effect, what we're going to be, I think, 600k-ish defense. I mean, that's pretty solid, because we do also have damage reduction going on. So this guy gets 20% damage reduction just for free, and then he gets another 20% damage reduction, and he gives Extreme Class Allies 3 key when facing a Pure or Hybrid Sands category enemy. So right now, it's not really the best because, of course, a lot of difficult content. There aren't really that many Hybrid Sands or, you know, Pure Sand category enemies outside of, I guess, Red Zone Broly. But if you do take him in Red Zone Broly, dude, this guy's going to be very useful because that 40% damage reduction, he gets, you know, all the stats after you receive an attack, and he's got type advantage during the final phase. Dude, this guy's going to be very, very good in there. So, you know, in that stage, he's definitely going to be useful, but in most other difficult content, he's kind of just going to be useless because without that extra 20% damage reduction, I don't know, man. I think he's going to take a lot of damage, even from normals, because his defense is good, but not good enough to put in slot 1. So then you're missing out on the 100% attack and defense, so then his damage is going to look less impressive, and then also, because he's in slot 2, that first attack he takes, you know, if it's a super, he's just dead. Even with the 20% damage reduction that he has that's unrestricted, that's not enough to tank, you know, these hard-hitting enemies without the 100% attack and defense from receiving an attack, which I guess the same logic could be applied by throwing this guy in slot 1. You know, if you just get supered first thing and he doesn't have the 100% attack and defense, you know, he's going to take a lot of damage. So one thing I didn't mention, I am using an Ultra Instinct Gogeta card. So I am showcasing the HATCHIYACK on a private server right now, because I don't actually think you can have him rainbowed currently, but of course we're doing a rainbowed showcase. So keep in mind, this showcase is still unrealistic because number 1, he's rainbowed, and I don't think you'll be able to get him rainbowed. And number 2, he's under a 200% leader skill with this Gogeta. And because I'm on a private server, this guy gives a 200% leader skill to all types. So, you know, kind of works out. And he's going to be under a 200% lead throughout the video. But he doesn't have one. Because, again, his categories are, like, very bad. Like, I don't even think it's good that he's on these bad teams. It's to a point where it's like, they just suck. I mean, yeah, he's helping them, but he's literally on no good teams. So, I don't know. Throwing him on teams is going to be kind of wonky until we get, you know, Giant Form buffs, until we get Revenge buffs. Crossover, I don't think is ever really going to be a good team just because of how little we see crossover units. And then Artificial Life Forms could be a solid team, but we'll have to wait till we get like an LR Kid Buu and stuff. So yeah, keep in mind, he's under a 200% leader skill. Technically, he doesn't have a 200% leader skill though, so, you know, this is a little unrealistic, but still, I could see us getting an LR Kid Buu that leads Artificial Life Forms 200% across the board. Obviously, this guy would be on there. And he does link somewhat well with some Boos. I mean, obviously, stuff like Big Bad Bosses he's sharing. I guess he probably would share Fear and Faith as well. If it's an LR Kid Buu, he would share Legendary Power. So, you know, he's going to link reasonably well with like an LR Kid Buu, but I don't think a Kid Buu would save this guy. Well, actually, you know what? If we got an LR Kid Buu that supported for like, I don't know, 10% damage reduction, that would mean this guy would have 20% damage reduction. He would have another 20% damage reduction if there's a Pure or Hybrid Sands category enemy. And let's just assume they're going to give us difficult content with a Pure or Hybrid Sands category enemy. So then, you know, you could just utilize them in there. And then you're also getting 10% damage reduction from Kid Buu. And then maybe he'll support for some attack and defense as well. I mean, dude, this guy could be pretty useful there. I don't know. It really depends on what Dokkan gives us, because you guys know this. I mean, look at Kale, look at Super 17, look at Trunks. They love giving us these good units, but then their teams are just so bad. And the same logic applies with this guy. He's a good unit. Like I said, he can get up to 40% damage reduction. You know, he's raising attack and defense on Super. He's got some support, but his teams are just not there, right? I mean, again, it's good he's on weak teams, but the teams are so bad, he's not really helping them. It just really proves to me these teams are bad, because even a free-to-play release like this still is doing nothing for the teams. So this guy does also have a giant form. I guess we can just go ahead and play this. I mean, it's pretty useful. Obviously, giant forms are always good. We'll play this animation. He doesn't really get enough when he's in his giant form transformation, but we'll go over that after we play this. I like the animation. You know, I'll give him that. It's not like crazy, but yeah, it's quick, it's efficient, it's cool. So in his giant form transformation, in terms of ki, he's going to be amazing. He gets 3 ki start of turn, and then he also changes ki spheres of a certain type, tech excluded, to tech ki spheres. So then in terms of like getting a super attack with this guy, you shouldn't ever be missing a super. Not only is he getting ki start of turn, but then he's orb changing. So yeah, getting a super is going to be very easy, but then that's it. And you'll notice with most giant form transformation characters, they either have crits, additionals, or, you know, whatever. I guess that's pretty much all they ever have. But they always have that, right? They have some form of ki, and then they also have crits. So my favorite giant form transformation character still to this day is AGL Cell. Or I guess he has a rage mode, but, you know, it's the same thing. So he gets guaranteed crits on every attack, and I think he gets like 2 or 3 ki start of turn. That's like the perfect giant form design. Because, you know, he has the offensive ability, and then he also is getting ki. So then it makes it to where you can get a super consistently, and then the super crits, and then you do good damage. But then with LR Hijack, because he doesn't have any additionals or crits or anything like that, I mean, you know, if you're type disadvantage, or I guess even if you just get like a normal 12 ki super, his damage isn't really going to be that crazy. And that's exactly why you're going into the giant form transformation, is of course for damage. So I would say, you know, his giant form could have been a little bit better, maybe a 30% chance to crit, maybe a 30% chance to do an additional super, whatever. But it's still useful, right? I don't want to undermine the giant form transformation. I think you can only get it for 1 turn, which is another reason why, I mean, it's not really amazing, but it's still useful, right? Giant form, definitely very good. You don't take any damage for 1 turn. There are situations where even, you know, the giant form for LR Hijack can save you. So, you know, I definitely don't want to undermine that. But anyway, right here, we're going to be at 5 out of 7 links. So I guess, how many links does he share with Baby? 3 out of 7. Yeah, I mean, he links reasonably well with Baby. Although Baby is definitely not a slot 1 option. So, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know, man. Hijack's partners are just not good either. I mean, like I said, an LR Kid Buu might save him and might be like an amazing rotation with him. But, look, we're this late into Dokkan. We still haven't gotten an LR Kid Buu. They're definitely in no rush to give us one. And even if we do get one, they kind of have to go out of their way to intentionally make sure the Kid Buu makes Hijack good. Like, he has to give 200% to artificial life forms. He has to have, you know, Fear and Faith, Big Bad Bosses, Legendary Power, which I'm sure he will, but I'm just saying it's more stuff he has to have. And then also, what, he needs to, I guess, give damage reduction support, which they haven't done that since Kid Goku, so clearly they have no intentions of doing it again, which is really weird because that's why Kid Goku was so praised, was because he was an amazing support, and he was also a really good unit by himself, but like he's on these weak teams and he was such a good support. So that's why he was so useful and valuable to most players. So giving us a Kid Buu who is on these weak teams, you know, he's literally on Artificial Life Forms. What, Kid Buu's also on, well, none of the teams for LR Hijack, but, you know, he's on other weak teams, Majin Power, blah, 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 you know, Majin Buu Saga. So if he's supporting a couple of these weak teams, it just makes him very valuable because then those weak teams aren't as weak anymore, right? But okay, I guess we can just go ahead and cut to the Red Zone Broly test. I mean, this guy doesn't build up or anything. We already showed the giant form transformation. We already showed a couple rotations of him. So overall, I don't want to act like, you know, he's not good. I feel like I'm really going off on LR Hijack. He's a free-to-play unit. So of course, there's areas where you can critique him because, I don't know, Dokkan doesn't really like free-to-play units most of the time. But he's still very useful overall. And like I said, he can get up to 40% damage reduction. If he gets a good partner, he can look really impressive. He's on some really weak teams. So I don't know, if you have to run Artificial Life Forms and, you know, you really need another unit to throw on your team, LR Hijack is a good option, but I don't know, you still got to be careful with him, right? It's just, it really goes to show you Dokkan needs to buff these teams. Like, units like LR Hijack, it's just, what, his 4 categories all suck. So then what are you going to do with him, right? I mean, because most of the time, you don't need to run these categories. For some reason, Dokkan doesn't really give us that many category missions, even though it's a really fun thing in the game, and I think they really should do that more for these events, but they don't do it that often. So running these teams outside of Super Battle Road, Extreme Super Battle Road, isn't really necessary. So, you know, I don't know. Dokkan's got their plans, whatever. This guy's good. Sorry, I went off on a little rant. But anyway, let's go ahead and cut to the Red Zone Broly test. Alright, so we're here fighting Red Zone Broly. We've got a very good setup for Hijack right here. We are going to have 3 out of 7 links, and we are also taking a super. But we're taking the super after we take a couple normals, so we are going to get the 100% attack and defense from that attack, and it is after we super, so then we also get the 30% defense from our super attack effect. So this is a really good setup for him. I think Gogeta should be fine in slot 1. I don't really know how good he is, because it's a private server unit, but I'm pretty sure he's going to be able to tank in slot 1, and then of course we'll be able to see Hijack tank. Because, I mean, with the damage reduction, because of course, like I mentioned, we're facing a Pure Sans enemy, so we get the extra 20% damage reduction. I think we're going to be pretty good right here. Well, 2.6. That's really not that impressive with his damage, but keep in mind we're missing the 100% attack and defense, so obviously with that, his damage would actually probably double, because obviously another 100% attack and defense. But anyway, we're taking the super here. How much damage is this going to do? If it's 100k or like 150k, that's pretty good. 75k? Dude, that's pretty impressive. 75k from a super from Red Zone Broly. So keep in mind, we have 40% damage reduction right here. And we've got, what, 500k defense? I'm kind of lowballing it with that, but that's also without Tough as Nails. And then, actually, I forget to mention, Tough as Nails is another 5% damage reduction. So that's 5% on top of 40% if you get that link active. So overall, dude, he's looking really good. I guess we can just go ahead and cut to the unit breakdown, but that was a pretty good, like, red zone test. Definitely impressive. All right, so here we have Extreme Vengeful Energy Hijack Giant Form. That's a very interesting title, Extreme Vengeful Energy. Okay. So his leader skill is Giant Form category Key +3, HP attack and defense plus 130%. Not really the greatest leader skill, but I guess if you really don't have a good lead for that team, he'll be somewhat useful. And then his super attack effect on his 12 key, he gets 30% defense, causes colossal damage to enemy, and then raises extreme class allies attack by 20% for 1 turn. So I didn't mention that in the video, but on top of supporting extreme class allies for key, he is also giving this little attack buff, which, I mean, definitely is pretty useful if you throw him in slot 1. But he's not really a great slot 1 unit, so I don't know. I mean, it's good. I'll say that, right? You know, extra support, always a good thing. And then his 18 key, he raises attack and defense, does mega colossal damage, and then raises allies attack by 30% for 1 turn. So obviously the raising attack goes from 20% to 30%. Still, just very useful, especially if you get the additional super. You're supporting all extreme class allies for 50% attack, which is really crazy. And then this guy's passive is that he gets 3 key, he gets 80% attack and defense. That is such a bad start of turn defensive stat. That's why his defense, like, before anything happens, before, you know, he gets the 100% attack and defense from receiving an attack, or, you know, he gets the defense from super, it's just really bad, because 80% attack and defense start of turn, again, very, very low. That should at least be like 120% or something like that. But then this guy does also get 100% attack and defense within the same turn after receiving an attack. He gets 20% damage reduction just for free, and then another 20% damage reduction, and he's supporting extreme class allies for 3 key when there's a pure or hybrid stance category enemy. So he's a pretty solid support. He doesn't outright support, you know, extreme class allies for like, you know, any attack or defense, but definitely the 3 key when there's a pure or hybrid stance category enemy is useful. And I guess technically he is supporting extreme class allies for attack and a super attack effect, but it's a little different because it's on a super attack effect and it's only for like that 1 turn. And then you have to make sure you throw him in slot 1 or slot 2 to then benefit the units in slot 2 and 3. But I mean, it's still useful. He's a nice little support, I guess. You know, I mean, it's nice he has it in his kit. I'll say that. And then he does have the giant form. So the condition for it is that it can be activated at any point when there's a pure or hybrid stance category enemy, or when your HP is 80% or less starting from the 5th turn from start of battle. So that's pretty solid. I mean, most of the time you're going to want to be facing a pure stance or hybrid stance category enemy with this guy. Right now, that really isn't that great, but then eventually if we get difficult content, you know, Goku family red zone, Vegeta family red zone, whatever, and then there are pure and hybrid stand category enemies, this guy definitely would work well in there. And then his link set is Berserker, Big Bad Bosses, Tough as Nails, Hatred of the Sands, Fear and Faith, Transform, Legendary Power. I already really talked about his link set in the video. It's good. You know, if we get an LR Kid Buu, he'll definitely work very well with him. His categories are Giant Form, Artificial Life Forms, Revenge, Crossover. Again, I already mentioned, you know, not really great teams, but again, I guess it's useful. He's helping them. And then once you go into Giant Form with this guy, his super attack effects, now he greatly raises attack temporarily, does destructive damage on 12 key, and then 18 key, massively raises attack temporarily, and then again, destructive damage. And then his passive, he gets 3 key, and then does change certain key sphere, tech excluded, to tech key spheres. So again, very useful that, you know, he's going to be absolutely fine with key, but in terms of his actual damage, I don't know. I mean, some crits or additionals would be nice, but keep in mind he is tech, so he's got the base 5 crit even at 55%, so you could technically still crit. So I guess that pretty much has been the video. Let me know what you guys are thinking of LR Hijack down in the comments. Me personally, I mean, I've said it in the video. I like this guy. He's useful. I don't know, though. I just think he could have been a little bit better. And actually, before we go, I do want to mention, so I can literally see right now, I got the Dokkan Wiki pulled up, how much battlefield memory this guy costs. So he is 420,000 battlefield memory. Not really a lot, I guess, if you do battlefield, you know, every time you have the opportunity to do it. But for people who kind of slack off on it sometimes, that might be a bit. But considering how much it is, I don't know. I feel like this guy should be a little bit better. But again, I mean, he's useful. I like that he's on some weak teams. I like that he's got the damage reduction. They didn't just make him, you know, just raw defense. And usually when they do that with units, they're just completely unusable. So he's got use. It's just right now, he doesn't have use, right? We need the Goku family red zone, the Vegeta family red zone. We need an LR Kid Buu and all that to make this guy useful. So in the future, I definitely could see this guy becoming good. But for now, he's a little wonky. So once again, that has been the video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll catch y'all in the next one.